Travel with us to catch your dream fish. Where professional fishermen buy their tackle.
And the most strongest are what cubic?
The most strongest are 1000 cubic.
1000.
Yeah, and they have almost 200 horsepower.
Yes. And what is top speed of the strongest?
Top speed is 200 km per hour.
Yes.
And if you want to test it, you must go to a racing track.
Yes.
Yeah, and there are many places in Finnmark, there are racing tracks.
Yes.
And there are no speed limit, there you
Yes.
can go as fast as you want. But a lot of people try out their snow scooter on open lakes, like on this one,
Yes.
because there's flat, there's no rocks,
Yes.
and then there is no dangers. You could try out the speed as you like.
Yes.
Lov na dírkách na ostrově Soroya jsme si vyzkoušeli.
We've tried ice fishing on Soroya Island. I caught one and Michael caught one.
Byli jsme vybaveni jemnou technikou.
Unfortunately, our gear was too light and the big fish in that lake completely ate up our hook lengths.
It
was a good experience and I think we'll come back here next year.
jsem rybu na můj pen, byly 2 ráno, prostě den, jako by to byl jenom sen. Na ostrov Soroj pojedem, tam chlapi tvrdý jsou jak skála, to se ví. Jestli se vrátíš, ti nikdo nepoví. Jsme na lodi jedný, jsme polapení.
Two months have passed, and we're heading to Soroya Island for the second time. This time, we're looking forward to catching every type of fish that inhabits the island's coastal waters. After a long winter, a very short spring arrives. Night temperatures can still drop below freezing. Summer comes at the end of June and lasts only until the end of August. It's one of the most beautiful times of the year on Soroya. But don't expect 30-degree heat here. All of the cottages are equipped with a kitchen and a dining room, living room, bathroom, and bedrooms. You'll certainly find it very useful to prepare all your lures at the cottage so that your fingers, which will be chilled to the bone, won't have to deal with it on the sea.
Guys, Pavel has an even bigger monster. 7 meters above the seabed. Such a nice fish. But Pavel has something bigger than I do. Look at that, Michal. "17 kilos. She grabbed the piker. Both treble hooks snagged her mouth. I had to take it really carefully because the hook length line went over her sharp teeth. Wow, a halibut. Easy, easy. Got it. That's the catch I've been hoping for with this giant jig head. I had just wanted to put it on the other rod, where I've only got the piker because it was damaged. When catching trophy fish, everything has to be 100%. You've also got a nice one, Michal. Another big fish. Where is he? He's tangled. His fin's beautiful. Look at the tail. That's why he was fighting so much. I think we're done for today. He was caught quite gently by the gill cover, so we'll let him go. And he's gone. Makes me feel good. He went for the new bait. I also put him back in the water.
The waves have become dangerously big. So on the days when we cannot go out to sea, we look around the island. Among the first inhabitants of Soroya were the Sami people, who came from the Himalayas in the Far East. Nowadays, only a few families maintain this old way of life. Just like their ancestors, these families herd reindeer and migrate with them from one place to another. The very first settlement on Soroya dates back to the Stone Age, just after the end of the last ice age. The first inhabitants were actually ancestors of the Vikings. Many of today's inhabitants of the island have the blood of the first settlers in their veins. Around 1000 AD, all the land here belonged to the Norwegian kings. Around 1700, they started selling it to the people, who became rich by selling fish products that had become popular among nobles from southern Europe. These rich merchants were called Nasser-konger, which translates as kings from small villages. Soroya is one of the most remote places in Europe. If you travel there by airplane, you'll be on the verge of entering fishing paradise within just a few hours. You have to change flights 3 times to get there, but by car, it would take you several days. In Soroya, you'll find many cabins, for both smaller groups as well as for teams of 20 fishermen who enjoy spending fishing time together. The biggest cabin is Sovorstua, which can hold up to 20 fishermen. Accommodation comes with the rental of very good boats with powerful engines, GPS navigation, and chart plotters. The cabins are scattered far from one another, so you can be sure you won't come across many people on the sea. This allows Soroya to maintain its reputation as a place to catch trophy fish at the end of the world, far from civilization.
Now we're in the village of Soroya, which is the northernmost inhabited part of Soroya Island. What's behind me is a Russian military shipwreck that was supposed to be sunk, but wasn't due to terrible weather conditions that day. The anchoring cables broke and the ship drifted onto the cliffs of the island. Michal, what time is it? It's 3 hours after high tide. I would leave this deep water and go to the marked places that are 40 to 60 meters deep because the tide is getting low. We've tried it in 80 to 100 meters depth, but now the tide's getting really low, so we're going to try more shallow water. I agree. The pressure's still good, so let's go for it. 1000 HPA, that should work. The pressure is a bit lower. We'll have to look harder for the fish. When we find a shoal, we'll try to catch something. Something's taken the bait on both poles. There's a smaller fish on one pole, so I'm leaving it on slow spooling. I'll take care of the bigger one. This looks like a nice fish. 65 meters deep, a beautiful catch on a piker. Now that's a big one. Nice one. 15 kilos. I'm doing great today. Yeah, she swam away like a meter-long carp. Here's a huge shoal. An incredible amount of fish. Are they at least 1 meter 50? No, they're about 120 centimeters, like yesterday. This morning, when it was windy, I adjusted the piker lure a bit. I added eyes like a cod's, so that the lure would be more attractive to big fish. I also added this cover, about 20 centimeters of fluorescent tube. On the first day, a fish got twisted around my 1 millimeter nylon and cut through it with its teeth. Here it comes. A big one. Yeah, finally.
White-beaked dolphins come to Soroya at the end of May and stay here until the end of June. They like feeding on herring and are able to follow them to a depth of 300 meters. When they appear by the boat, there's no need to worry, as they don't feed on cod. The best thing to do is get comfortable and watch the great theater these intelligent creatures provide.
Another effective method of fishing is trolling. We'll use a giant jig head with a 20 centimeter riper. I'll show you how it works. We hit the seabed. Now we'll adjust how fast we want to pull the lure to the surface. Let's turn on the reel, and the bait is coming up through the water column. Most of the catches are made between 5 and 15 centimeters from the bottom.
For this style of fishing, you need a quality rod holder. Because the fish attack very aggressively, and with an inadequate holder, you risk losing your expensive gear. Travel with us to catch your dream fish. Where professional fishermen buy their tackle.